Sometimes values are the things most important to you. If somebody says, I'll tell you what's most important to me, yes, sir, that's why I'm at Olivet. I came to America so that I can get this. And they live for money. And you know what? This isn't even real. That's just paper. It's not real. And it comes and it goes. I don't have much, but that's okay. That's not the most important thing to me. Right? So when we talk about values, we talk about what's most important to you. Now, every culture has a list of things that are important. Most of them say family. That's in there somewhere. Some of them say wealth, so money or property does come in. Some of them put one thing higher than another. Some people say my relationship with other people is most important. When my children were growing up, I have 4 children. I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. Yeah! They are great. I love them. Yes. They're very important in my value system. Okay? And family, of course, is very important. But if I had to choose between my family and Jesus, what would I do? I hope that's not the case for any of you, that it's one or the other. I hope it can be both. Now, what Jesus says, if you're following him, he has to be more important than your family. Ooh, that was hard. If you want to follow me, he said, you have to, and he used a strong word, hate your father and your mother. Did he mean hate as an emotion? No. He was talking about value. Your value first is to your Creator. He's not saying don't love your family. No. What he's saying is when you have values, you put certain things first. So if you have a list, and God is at the top, Jesus, your family is up there, second or third, maybe your job and your success, maybe your friends, maybe a number of things. That's what we call values. In English, here's a word for you, if you haven't learned it yet. Okay. Values are priorities. When you have a priority, if you have to choose between one thing or another, that's what Jesus was talking about. If you have to choose between me and your family, choose me. If you have to choose between me and your friend, choose me. If you have to choose between me and success, choose me. If you have to choose between me and your country, ooh, we hate that happens. Choose me. He wants to be first priority. He's not saying turn against any of those, but keep your priorities straight. Now, if you understand a Muslim, his first priority is God. Okay. But when I say that, what do I mean? Choose God, a Muslim would say. Most important is God, not his nationality. It's God. So he is first one who has chosen God, the one God. Allah is his name, as the one that he is obedient to. So when I say choose who's first, I'm talking about a relationship. But you see, in the Muslim mind, in his worldview, God does not have relationship with people. He is over everything. He is not involved with it. He's over it. He makes decisions about it. So what does it mean, I choose God? It means I submit to God. Submission to God. Not love to God or relationship with God. It's submission to God. We use submission. Now, remember that word for peace that we use? Silm, S-L-M? That's the root of the word for submission. So when they say, Salam alaikum, they're saying, submit, all of you, to God. So the most important thing for a Muslim in his value system, based upon his beliefs, is that you and he both submit to God. Nothing is more important. And that is why martyrs among terrorists are common. That is why a mother with children will allow herself to blow up with people, to bring them into submission to God. Ooh, that's cruel. But it's because there's a belief, and the value system says you must submit to God. Now, if you don't submit to God, then what? Well, I will make you submit to God. I will do everything possible to make you submit to God, because that is my duty. You see, my duty is not the relationship with God. My duty is submission. So I must know what God wants me to do. And we're going to talk about that. We won't get all the way into it. But what God wants me to do is 5 things, 5 pillars that we call the pillars of Islam. You know what a pillar is? That's a pillar right there. That's a pillar right there. They have 5 of those that hold up what it means to submit to God. So if you do the pillars, you are submitting. God is over you. So we will identify the pillars. But the most important thing is submission. In other words, obedience. It's not relationship. I don't do that because it makes me closer, feel good about God. No, I do that because God expects it. It's duty. This is your duty. You must do this. Duty means submit. Anybody that was a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout? Any Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts? Do you know what Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts are? Here's something from American culture. It's a youth movement for children growing up to help them learn to do good things. And it's like a club, but for instance, my grandson, he's in what we call Cub Scouts. That means Little Scouts. Bears have cubs, babies. Cub Scouts are Little Scouts, baby Scouts. Big Scouts, as you grow up as a teenager, you can be a Big Scout. But they have a code, and this is what they say. on my honor, I will do my best to obey God and my country. Military duty is what's required. In Islam, duty is what's required. It's not relationship. It's what you have to do. It's important that all of you do this. So a Muslim has beliefs related to submission. He has values that are based upon duties, which in fact lead to his behavior. So on Friday, he goes to prayers, or 5 times a day, he prays. Okay. There are other things that he does, many more, because it's his duty as a follower of Muhammad. Now this is law. It's different than grace. Jesus is about grace, not law. The law says, do this, and you will live. Grace says, love God and do whatever you want. Oh, what do you mean by that? What I mean is, if you love God, what you do will please God. That's what love's about. I don't have to make a list. I just love God and do what pleases Him, what makes Him happy. That's grace versus law. Islam is about law. Christianity is about grace. Judaism, what is it about? Well, usually about law. But it's also about covenant or culture. We'll talk more about that. So, beliefs, values, behavior. Behavior, so if this is things I know, the key word is know, knowledge, and if this is things that are my priority, then behavior are the things I do. Okay? Those are the things I do. Now, you want to understand Muslims from their mind, from the inside out, understand their beliefs, their values, and their behavior. Simple as that.